Good evening and welcome to Girl Talk Tuesday. How is everyone doing today? Come on in. We're excited about what we have to share today. But first, I want to welcome my co-host, Miss Angela Tyson. How are you doing this evening?
I'm awesome, Michelle. Thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Now I'm gonna have to ask you, are you and Lynette just like rotating, or do y'all plan to come back so we can have the tremendous trio back together?
I know. What do we have happen though? We're having life quakes are happening, right? So
And we're supporting each other and working through it as epic women do.
absolutely.
I'm excited about our topic this evening. I know that we have a lot that we want to cover. I know, and what so that you all are not confused. No, it is Wednesday, and
I
we're
know
getting
there's a lot of confusion going on right now.
because there's been many days I woke up like, what day is it? So I don't want to confuse you all. It's just that we get so caught up into our talking on Tuesday, it just kind of like rolls into Wednesday. And next thing we know, it's time for a segment. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. That's perfect.
Okay. So ultimately, as you all know, we are travel business owners and we are here to share information regarding the world of travel. We've had the luxury over the last couple of months to talk about the entrepreneurship and just becoming that whole focus on becoming an entrepreneur. And so tonight we want to talk more about the actual product, the travel product that we have and why you may want to be interested in becoming a travel business owner. So of course we had to come up with a little cutesy topic. Why travel? Okay.
Yes.
And so, I think the initial response is always when you have that conversation with someone, the initial response is usually why not
Why
travel?
not? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so with that, we pretty much look at, it's exploring varying avenues of entrepreneurship. And so when we start looking at what real passions were, I think the average person kind of like overlooks travel because, we typically are traveling for business, or of course we got vacations, sometimes a couple of vacations for a year. But do you really stop and look at, could this travel or this frenzy or this love for travel actually become a business? And so that's what we want to talk about a little bit more. Now, we had a segment a few months ago when we were talking about the top 10 reasons to become a travel business owner. And so now we wanted to talk about a little bit more about travel overall. And again, our product, which is travel, you're building home-based businesses. So, the world is a beautiful place. There's so much to see and experience within this world and so much to enjoy. Everyone travels, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I think for the most part, when we're talking about why travel, we look at that. Everyone's traveling. Imagine having the opportunity to experience travel as a business or career, building relationships, exploring the world and being exposed to new places, people, and cultures, creating adventures, developing a wider view of the world, and networking with suppliers, opening your mind, to travel as an insider. And literally, what it comes down to is a dream come true, in my opinion, and a new way to live your life. Everyone loves to travel. People love to travel.
They
So,
do.
Angela, I want to get you in the middle of this immediately because, just throwing it out there. And let us kind of like switch the screen around and get everybody on here the way we like to have. Okay, there we go. So, Angela, why do you say, what are your initial response when you are talking with someone and, you throw it out at them or they ask you, why travel?
I say, many people like to say that food is good for the soul. Well, I like to say that travel is good for the soul. It gives you an opportunity to escape your day to day. It helps you to reset your body and frees your soul from the stress, even if that's just temporary. We're living in extremely unprecedented times, stressful times, and sometimes you just need a break. And that break will help you to recompose yourself, to reconnect with yourself. And so it also helps you to find some peace of mind because we're always grinding, churning, and Travel helps you to kind of escape all of that. The world is so big out there, so why limit yourself? Travel is not limiting, it is actually very limitless. You can go as far as your mind sees. And so it's a way to de-stress and to reconnect with yourself.
And you hit it around the head, and you're really expanding your perspective. I think that for me, it was always taking travel for granted because each year, yes, I'm going to take a vacation. And actually, anyone who's watching right now, yeah, type in your comments. Now, again, we'll respond afterwards, but type in your comments. What do you think about why travel? I would love to see some of your input on this. But ultimately, it is expanding your perspective. Once I identified that, hey, the light bulb went off. Why travel? It's like, the whole point, we take it for granted. We don't realize everything that can come from it. And so with that being said, when you're expanding your perspective and you're getting in touch with yourself and you're realizing that it is such a passion. And again, it's something that's almost like a no-brainer each year, like clockwork. Some people may have the exact same time every year or within a quarter. I know for me, I always try to travel at least once a quarter on the vacation side. If I was traveling for business, then when it was as needed. And now I'm traveling as a business.
Yes. Connecting the passions, right? Connecting the passion.
And I think that is something that's really starting to resonate with a lot of friends and family that, wait a minute, if she can do it, I can do it too. And I throw it out there all the time. If I can do it, yes, you can most definitely do it Absolutely. As well. It helps you to also appreciate life instead of just going through that whole routine of the 9 to 5, being able to look at the world in a very different sense. And what I mean by that is when we had to pivot to domestic travel, because of everything that's occurring now, I can't say how many times I've said it, or business partners have said it, or clients, your friends, family, whoever I'm talking with, and they all say the same thing. You didn't even realize we had everything that we had in our own backyard. I've lived in my area for pretty much my entire life, with this particular area for the last 30 some years, and didn't realize, I would say for at least 15 to 20 years, if not the entire 30 years, that I even had wineries in my backyard, that I had some of the most very unique locations and what they offer. So, it really does make you appreciate life, not only with what's right in front of you domestically, but also internationally. Exactly. And building relationships, that I've always enjoyed building relationships, but now this kind of takes it to a whole new level, because when you're having fun,
right, like we do, we're always having fun when we get together at the wineries and wherever else, we tend to meet up at. So.
And I mean, I'm sure you probably seen the same thing. So again, anyone who's watching right now, just mention or comment on what type of things you like to do, why travel is so important to you. Would travel even be a consideration for you to start your own business on that? So I just want to get some engagement going, because ultimately we really want to be able to connect with everyone, because this is such an interesting topic. But like I said, building relationships, I always find it very interesting when I'm talking with a owner or a manager of a particular site that we're going to. And the moment they realize you're travel business owners, how wide their eyes get, because now they're looking at, okay, we're drawing business to their venues.
Exactly.
And you're, I would say I always get a great reception, but then that just makes you feel even more, what's the word I'm looking for? More unique, more
appreciated or received. Right. It's a good feeling to have them be so excited to have us there to, show us their facility.
Right. And that's the whole thing. They're immediately saying, okay, networking opportunities, being able to engage with you, opening the door to more business options and things like that. So, I just love building and strengthening those relationships. And it's just a matter of wherever you go, being able to make that happen. Having an adventure. I joined a group recently. I was, was invited to join a group recently, which made so much sense. These groups that are getting started of people who have a specific type of niche, or people who are really interested in, building up a network of people that they can travel with that have the same interest.
Yes.
And so, I am finding myself that I'm becoming much more adventurous. And people their eyes always pop when I say those type of things. The impression.
People have a perception of you. That's what it is. People have a perception of you, of who you are
Right.
because your personality is so outgoing and so bubbly. They just say, oh, Michelle will do anything. But
Right.
there's some reservations with Michelle. So.
Oh, there are. And I'm telling you, it cracks me up when I hear people's perception because I'm like, okay, y'all need to realize. But it's funny because on one hand, people think that I'm extremely adventurous, that I will go out here and try anything. And at the same point, I'm like, I will try things, but I'm going to analyze it to death first. I'm going to tread cautiously. And hilarious, I would say one of the first times where I tried zip lining, immediately my youngest was like, no, you did not go zip lining. So of course, I had to roll out the picture. Like, yes, I did. Now, I will tell you one thing I'm never going to do. I don't care how safe it is or how it's advertised. No one's going to get me to do any bungee jumping. That's not happening.
Would you ever skydive?
No.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's me. I can't see myself doing either. I haven't even done the zip line thing. So
okay. Zip lining, well, I would say zip lining was not as intimidating as you would initially think. I was really that I had no issue with. I mean, it was, and I love being able to see, especially if you're around the mountains or forests and things like that. I love seeing everything from that angle. But skydiving, as far as I'm concerned, if God wanted me to fly, he would have made me a bird. So that's not happening.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the whole point. Is getting out here and enjoying adventures. I'll take pictures of anybody who wants to bungee jump.
Right. I'll meet you down at the bottom.
Like you said earlier, just escaping, that relaxing and rejuvenating, getting away to just kind of refresh yourself. But then there's so many ways to do that, whether it's going to be spas or yoga trips or any other type of Zen. You've got a lot of options. You got a lot of options there. And of course, celebrating. Everyone's looking for different things, where they're celebrating, just getting married and destination weddings and honeymoons, anniversaries, retirements, birthdays. Sometimes we come up with reasons to celebrate.
It's endless. And that's what I was saying. Travel is limitless.
Right.
So why limit yourself?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing right now, is that because it was something that was so on the forefront, we really didn't have to think about it. Right. And now that it's somewhat limited or it's slightly on pause right now, people are feeding for, oh my gosh, when am I going to have to be able to travel the way I was traveling before? But that just opens that door to the group travel and people understanding the volume of people who are looking for great groups that they can connect with to be able to travel together. Right. The road trips, that has come back at full force because, some people just aren't comfortable with certain modes of traveling. Exactly. Like, they love, I got my cruisers, but they realize that, okay, right now cruising is no sail orders are in place. Right. So road trips are an option. Train trips are more of an option. Some people are still comfortable with flying. But you got to take the necessary precautions, and of course, you always have that scale that's between domestic and international. Domestic is on the high end right now, and and slowly that scale is going to tip back up, where it's going to be even with domestic and international, and the international is going to take over again.
Exactly.
Okay, so Angela, have you selected a niche, and if so, please share details regarding the niche you selected.
So I'd like to say for me, it's about making your journey as great as your destination. Like, that's my focus. I want to make sure that the process of planning your journey is as great as the trip once you get there. But I'd also have to say, I love these sayings, happy wife, happy life. I like to say happy customer, repeat customer. Because if I can make somebody's dream come true the first time out the gate, I know that they're going to come back to me as a repeat customer. So in regards to niches, I'd like to say my training is in the cruise lines, but most recently, I've had a lot of people inquire to me about yachting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Versus the large ocean liner cruises, the more smaller, intimate settings of a yacht cruise where somebody can rent the entire yacht out with a group of friends, so that they are in contact with people that they know only. And so that is an area that I'm starting to get more information on, because people are wanting to know how that works. There's a great show on one of the stations that focuses on that. And so I've been watching that and I'm saying to myself, oh, this is what folks are talking about. So I'd have to say that it's becoming the scaling down from the large ocean liner cruises to more of the yacht style cruising, where it's a little bit more intimate and it's a little bit more the staff is dedicated to you and your needs and your whims. But as a travel advisor, we can pretty much do anything for you. We like the group trips because, that's planning for larger size groups, and you're getting such a return on that because there's lots of people out there who are saying, oh, they did a great job. Let me refer them to, my friends and family. So I'd have to say most of it is really kind of limiting it down to the yachting.
And I would love to know how many of our listeners right now enjoy the cruising and yachting, if that's on the high end. But, I think you hit it around the head. People are starting to pivot because they see that this is going to be long term. A good number of them had cruises planned through the end of the year. And now, and through the no sail orders through October, which is more likely going to be extended, several of the very popular cruise lines have already announced that they won't be sailing through most of this year, or probably shut down things through the first quarter of next year. So people are pivoting. It's like, what other options do they have? And to be able to vacation with yachting, like you said, because now it's their group, everything's dedicated to them. They have more control over what's transpiring. So it's interesting that you said that, because I've had a number of people who are reaching out regarding those options. And the other thing that's starting to take a lot, that has wings now, is villas. The same thing that, especially domestically, people are looking at the fact that, and they're not comfortable with doing hotels, or maybe a chain of hotels. They're hearing stories. Now, mind you, those hotels are definitely getting business, but people are starting to look at, no, they'd rather do a villa, and therefore it'll be their group in the rental home or villa by themselves. They may have staff that will be there to help them out and so on, but it gives them more peace of mind with everything that's happening, that they can travel in that means. So for me, my niche has been air, land, and sea. And just as my clients are pivoting to other options, I'm looking at some of you're saying the yachting, now the villas, talking with people about the possible train trips and how they can have cars to themselves, or the cabins to themselves on the trains and so on. And then, of course, good old-fashioned road trips. That's definitely been on the high end as well. So I think for the most point, it's just about creating memorable experiences and letting people know you don't have to sit home, and you can travel responsibly.
Exactly.
Continue on through this period. But I love what you're saying about happy customer, repeat customer, because that is so true.
It's true. You had somebody who had an idea of what they wanted to do, but they didn't quite know how to put that together, and you're able to help them to conceive that dream vacation, whether it's Tahiti, the Fiji Islands, the bungalows over the water. Hey, right? We can do that. We can make that happen. So you can dream it, we can conceive it for you. So that's why you need to reach out to us. I'm full of them tonight, right?
Okay. You're on the roll. I'm like, you go, girl. Okay. No, and I think you hit it around the head, because I think for the most part, it's just a matter of people, they went on lockdown, they abided by those recommendations. They're seeing, like Mexico, that's a high-end area right now, and that they can go. I've seen people post about, the hotel staff coming out, they have the shields on and things like that. So, the options are there. So I think for the most part, connect with us. Better yet, come on and join us as a travel business owner and travel like an intern, like we've been saying. Okay, so Angela, so one question that typically is presented is along the lines of, why would anyone use a travel agent? I always chuckle with that one. So
I do too, but you know what? I get why. Because people think, I can go online to these large online services and book a trip. You absolutely can. But can you contact them 24/7 like you can contact me? Yeah. Are they going to be responsive to resolve your issues when you're traveling abroad and something's gone wrong? The answer is probably not. Yeah. I also have access to hundreds of suppliers. Like I said before, you dream it, I can conceive it for you. I have partners that I'm working with who will put the dream vacation together for you. Their travel is very different now. So we're navigating this travel thing very differently. You can't get on these big suppliers and have the same response or expect, to get the information that I can give you because I've done some research on such and such a place and know that, COVID is still kind of high there. So you probably don't want to go there. And if you do decide to go there, what the regulations are to get you there. Can these other online services provide that for you? Probably not. Right. And the fact that there's a human factor here. I think we're so automated now. Like when you call any place now, it's so automated. Where is the human factor in all of this? Right. Where is the human connection? You were talking about building relationships. You're building a rapport with your customer. So that's a big factor to me about, making sure that when you're working with a travel advisor, that you have some human connection and that they're going to be there for you through the process. If something goes wrong and you have to get a refund, they're going to be there through the process to help you get that refund back. So that's some of the reasons, right? Exactly. Some of the reasons of why you need to use a travel agent. Come on in, or, you yourself become one.
Right. And I would say, Lord knows, I have spent my time, a significant amount of my time online with the suppliers, getting refunds from my people where I could instead of travel credits, unless the clients wanted travel credits. Now, that's interesting to me because I would say an overwhelming majority of my clients, and especially when I first announced that I was launching a travel business, I had so many people who reached out to me stressing that they prefer that someone else plan their trip, let them pay, and they just show up. They don't want to be bothered with, okay, they got to review this, they got to check into this. They felt that clearly the time was valuable. It was just something they didn't have an interest in going. They wanted to be able to travel. They wanted to be able to get the best of the best, but they just didn't want to be inundated with the information, searching for the information to make sure they're selecting the right place and still not sure they selected the right place until they got there. So a lot of them don't want to create their own plans. And what a lot of people did not realize, no matter what, you're still paying for a travel agent.
Yes. Okay? That commission is still built in, right?
So that was the funny thing behind it, was that especially the ones that were planning their own trip, they were doing all the work. And, those commissions were built into the fees that they were paying, but none of it was coming back to their pocket. So they did all the work to not only pay for the trip, but pay extra for the trip because the whatever service they were using was not going to give the money back to them because they didn't have a travel agent. That's the whole point. One, first of all, become a travel business owner and stop leaving money on the table. And then two, program yourself to know that when you're doing it by yourself, hey, you just gave them an extra couple $100 for doing all of the research.
And like I said before, when something goes wrong, you're going to have to pick up the phone and call them and talk to some automated system and punch your way through 100 different numbers until you can connect possibly with someone if they're still open, when you know that you have 24-hour access to your travel advisor.
Right. So again, for me, just another reason to become a travel business owner, because that's one thing I love about it, is that not only do I get great rates for being a travel business owner, but I get commissions on my own travel. And, I love helping people. So the ones that want to secure that group travel with a travel agent to be able to travel whenever they want to, it's a win-win. But why not make it a win-win-win and become your own travel business owner and get commissions back on your own trip? So.
And there's one other thing I want to say. The good thing about working with us is that if you bring us a quote, we can match your quote, but it has to be an exact apple to apple, orange to orange quote. So you want to go out there and do your own little research and then come back to us and have us book it. We can do that because we will match it as long as it is an exact match on the quote.
Exactly. So you can't be bringing us a trip to Florida to the Holiday Inn and want us to get you the same trip to a high-end resort. Okay?
Exactly. That's not apples to apples. That's apples to oranges. So,
stop coming to us, but you want a discount or you want a special on something that's not even in comparison. So,
right.
Okay. So, what is the primary reason you travel, Angela?
Because I can.
Okay.
Because I can. Look,
Okay.
so, some of you already know I have a 9 to 5. 9 to 5, I get so many weeks of vacation. That vacation is a use or lose policy.
Right.
They not going to pay me at the end of the year. They not going to roll it over to the next year. I lose it if I don't take it. And I'm working hard. So why should I not take the time to take some time off to de-stress, to visit different resorts and different facilities and, build up my business, but to also reconnect with myself. You get so caught up in all of your day-to-day stuff that you just, sometimes you don't take time for yourself.
Right.
And this pandemic that we're in, it's about self-care now. You have to learn what it is that you need to care for yourself so that you, as a caregiver, if that's what your role is as a mother, a wife, or a caretaker, can do that well. Sometimes you have to take some time for yourself. And so I do it because I can.
Right.
And because it helps me to, to decompress and to regroup and to find, who I am as a business owner, as a multiple business owner, as a, an employee of a corporation, as a sister, as a friend, and so you just kind of need some time for yourself, and why not travel? It's the best way to do it.
Right. And, and again, it's about that balance, with everything that we're experiencing in life. Now, one thing I always want to point out, and this is also going back to being a travel business owner, just imagine as being a travel business owner and your business is travel. And so therefore you are now flipping that script of that 9 to 5. And that's why a lot of people are getting into this business. Yep. Because now they're burnt out, they're stressed, they want to get away from what they're doing. They don't like what they're doing, whether they are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, close to retirement, or whatever. People want to enjoy life. Absolutely. And I hear so much about the lack of quality of life. And I would say, now, mind you, I can't say enough. I have a fantastic family. My sons are everything in this world to me. We've had a great life, but I felt like the quality of life was not there, or what I wanted it to be. And so now, being a travel business owner and travel being my primary focus as a career, that it's just a win-win-win situation. I enjoy seeing the world. I mean, basically at the top of my list as far as the reason I enjoy seeing the world. I love meeting new people and learning about new cultures. Of course, relaxing and rejuvenating, that's a given. But what I'm finding more and more of, and what I'm learning about myself, is just leaving those comfort zones and adventuring more. And, I think that especially with group travel, when you have people that you can travel with and have that security because you're with a group of people, then you tend to extend yourself a little bit further. Now, I will tell you, I almost drowned scuba diving one time. And that's a story for another segment. But what I learned from that is that, okay, in the future, don't let the guide push you to do things the way that they think you should do it, versus the way that you're most comfortable with doing it. Now, I went from being an avid swimmer to fighting for my life. And mind you, thank God I had enough people around me to pull me up. But it's like that I would never have expected that to happen. But that's just going to say you're going out here and you're enjoying these adventures. But, again, a valuable lesson for me was, in the future, I will let the guide know this is what's going to work best for me. It's not 100% of anything for anybody. That's the whole point of traveling, that you get to experience so much more in life. You're educating yourself in a fun way about fun things. And, you're just gaining so much more knowledge. I mean, I talked about Aruba for years. Had never been there. When I went to Aruba, it clearly exceeded expectations, but I fell in love with Aruba. And all I kept thinking now, I can't wait to get to this place. I can't wait to get to that place. I can't wait to try this. So it really does open up the doors to a much more quality part of life. And so, I can't say enough.
Did I say because I can? Did I say that already? Because I can? Yeah.
Exactly, because you can.
Because I can.
Right. And then when you own a travel business, you can and more.
Exactly. Right. And, you're talking a little bit about stretching yourself. And I know this is going to kind of segue into the next question. But I've traveled with a small group of friends for many, many years. And I would always see them going out into the ocean. I'm not a swimmer. I never learned how to swim. I was pushed in the water as a child. That drowning story reminded me of this.
Wow.
So I was pushed in the water as a child. So I became very traumatic about going into the water. But hanging out with this group of friends, we would, do the yacht thing. We would go out on the water and they would get in the water and they'd be swimming around in the middle of the ocean. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not. One trip, though, they just said, Angela, look, we got you. We're not going to let anything happen to you. Put this life vest on. Come on out here. We're going to take care of you. I did it. I stretched myself. I got out of my comfort zone. I put that life vest on. I got into the ocean and I was like, oh, I actually can float. I can float in this floaty, right? Okay. So that helped me to, future trips after that. It opened up doors for me that I was not as afraid to go into the ocean and to actually walk out. I didn't have a life vest on, but I had people around me that I knew would protect me. And that's about that relationship building, right? They were sure that I did not drown out in the middle of the ocean. So I stretched myself for sure. And I don't have quite as many fears as I used to have about drowning.
Wow.
So, I just think people need to definitely step out of their comfort zones.
And girl, you could not have been my father's child, because his way of teaching us, because he was an avid swimmer. And so for him, it was all, and I definitely get my love for water and the beaches from him, because he was a water fanatic, just like I am. And one of my uncles had a swimming pool. So of course he would always have family over pretty much every weekend. I mean, it was like the door was wide open for us to come in any time. And, even that when during the summer times, my dad would work all year, but the month of August is when he would take off and we would just stay at the beach the entire month. But for him, it was always a matter of that his kids were not going to be afraid of the water. His kids want to know how to swim. And so instead of him giving us swimming lessons like the normal parent would have done, he would just come and just throw you in the water. I mean, of course, he would say, just move your arms, wave your legs, and so whatever he was telling us to do to swim. Now, mind you, if you at least tell me you're going to throw me in the water, or you still behind you and just throw you in, first of all, you're still trying to get used to you're up on the air and in the water. So it's a second to adjust. But I mean, it did teach us to learn how to swim. And I would say, even though I kind of like joking about it, I wouldn't have had any other way, because clearly he cared enough to make sure we all knew how to swim. There was no way he was going to let us drown, as protective as he was.
Right.
But it was one of those things that instead of you taking baby steps, it was going to be a matter of you needed to get in here and do it. And that's part of what I'm learning throughout life. Get out there and do it. And stop taking baby steps with things.
That's
it. That has finally registered with me as well. So, and then the other thing, I'm going to say I was proud of you, Angela, because you went on a sailboat with us recently.
Yes, I did. See,
okay.
I'm telling you that. But as a child, that fear is so ingrained in you. My mother went so far as I asked for a swimming pool for my 16th birthday. It was above ground pool, but she had above ground pool, and I still never learned how to swim.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I still to this day don't know how to swim.
Well, I would tell you. I mean, I took my father's cue. Like I said, I didn't do it the same way with my sons, but I took my father's cue. I mean, my sons love the beach and everything else, but they were put in swim lessons very early in life. One, because you can enjoy it more by not being afraid of the water, but you can also, I used to watch them swim like fish and jump off the diving boards like, Olympic swimmers. I'm like, oh, you good to go. Okay.
I advise it if your kids don't know how to swim, put them in swimming lessons.
Right.
It's such a detriment to them if they don't know how to swim.
And you don't want them to be on the one sitting on the side or afraid to go near the water when all the other friends are out there swimming. So
exactly.
Okay, so as you mentioned, you were referencing and stretching yourself. So how does travel cause you to stretch yourself? I think you may have covered that for the most part.
I did, but I want to give you a quick story. I just think that travel causes you to reach beyond your normal comfort zones, because you're going to places where maybe you don't speak the language, you don't recognize the food, you don't understand the culture, but that's exactly why you travel, so that you can learn all of these different things. I'm gonna give you a quick story. Many years ago, my mom and some of her friends created this social travel club called the Impromptu Club. That's where my business name came from.
Okay.
Impromptu World Travel came from that. Their main focus was fundraising for high school and college students to give them scholarships. And so they would sponsor dances and dinners and Broadway plays. And eventually they branched into travel. So at first, my dad was very resistant to travel because he, came from the South, and all he did was go to the South. That's kind of what they did. They would go to the South and, take summer trips down and those road trips. But he finally got on a plane and he went to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
And he loved it. And he was like, okay, all right, when we going again? When we going again? Unfortunately, that was my dad's last trip before he suddenly passed away. But that didn't stop my mom from continuing to travel. And she went everywhere from Hawaii to all the Caribbean islands. She did Alaska, all of the things like that. And I say that because, you want to make sure that you don't let fear of the unknown keep you from exploring the wonders of the world that God has placed out there.
Right.
So, that's a part of what the travel industry is all about. It's about exploring the world. God has put so many wonders out there. Like, we are so minute and we are so small in the grand scheme of this thing called the world. So you need to really get out there and explore it.
Right.
And so that was kind of like my story is don't wait until you can't travel to travel. Get out there and do it.
Right. And you hit on the head. I mean, none of us are promised tomorrow. And, I think that's the thing. And if it's a matter that you're going to hear that shameless plug one more time, if it's a matter that it's, maybe because of the cost involved, then start your own travel business. That's going to offset a lot of the costs. Not to mention, there's so much we can talk to you about that of how you can coordinate that business to really benefit you in a significant number of ways. And then with Planet Marketing and the teletravel, the multiple streams. So all that comes along with it. But like you said, it's stretching yourself to push yourself. We've talked with numerous people who would never fly. Well, now they're flying and they're understanding that, it wasn't as extreme as they thought. People who would never cruise because they felt like, now mind you, I saw the Titanic too. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And I suppose even had ancestors ancestors who were on the Titanic.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna tell you, the stories are dated, and a lot of the family members who really knew it to the extreme are no longer here. So I don't recall all the pieces to it. But at the same point, like they always said, cruise ships, you're the ones, during hurricane season. I've always been told that the safest place to be is on a cruise ship during hurricane season because they can go into other directions and but when you're on land, you can evacuate, but you're still going to get hit with it because you're on land. Exactly. But ultimately, any fear that you may have, stretch yourself a little bit. If you're concerned about cruising, then do a 3-4 day cruise, something that's not too extreme.
Right.
And to determine that that's something that you're interested in. Talk with someone who knows about cruising. If you tend to be someone that could possibly get seasick, you want to be on the upper floors. Don't let anyone put you on the second or third floor.
Because you will feel every wave, every motion of the ocean.
Right. But that's the whole point. And again, another reason why travel or working with travel agents, or better yet, becoming a travel business owner, because you learn those type of things.
That's right.
But there's so many ways to navigate around all of that. So ultimately, it's about stretching yourself and aligning with travel agents, and again, becoming a travel business owner so you can learn these type of things and be able to really travel successfully and enjoy all of it. Yep. Okay, so we're coming down to that. My normal questions as we close out: you versus you. So, what impact does this have on traveling as far as when it's you versus you?
I think it's still a part of the comfort zone. I think, people tend to talk themselves out of going on vacation before they've even booked the vacation. Right. They've got a fear of this, they've got a fear of that, they've got the what ifs of this and the what ifs of that. What if? What if you're not dead?
Right.
Okay. What if? No, honestly, what if? Okay. So I think it's just a matter of moving beyond the fear of the unknown. And, like we were saying about stretching yourself and getting outside of the comfort zone, get over the fear that's in your mind that will allow you to stretch yourself to go just beyond, anything that you could ever imagine to think.
And when you align with group travel, then that gives you that support as well. Because
Yes.
you're aligning with people, you're building relationships, you have people that's going to support you, like the story you were saying earlier with your friends who help guide you through their fear of the water and drowning.
Yep.
So, okay, yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I think you versus you just to me is like a standard every day of what am I doing to get in my own way? What else can I do differently? What else, what other doors can I open for other people? So, I mean, I think for me with you versus you when it comes to travel is like you said, get out of your comfort zones. What is it you really want to try? You know, I feel like I'm exploring quite a bit of the world, but I talk with other travel business owners and hear about other places like talking with a business owner, another business owner earlier, or a business partner earlier today, talking about South Africa and Singapore. You know, these are all things that it's on that list. And I just plan on getting out here and enjoying every part of it. Tahiti. I started doing virtual tours recently, which was Fiji and Bora Bora, and I've shared that with my clients and so on. And this is things that's really kind of opening those doors for everybody. So, you know, you always got to keep in mind, no matter what you're doing, stop and think about you versus you. What are you doing to stop yourself from really from really living the life you want to live or pursuing your dreams?
Exactly. And that's what I was saying. You got a fear of flying and you ain't even been on the plane. Like,
Right.
what's the fear? Is the fear the flying? Is the fear the heights? Just, jump off the cliff. Just
Right.
go for it. And if it's not something that you enjoy, then you come back and you say, okay, I did that. That's not what I like to do. Then you can make adjustments, and do future travel. Maybe you won't fly again. Maybe you'll take train rides. There are a lot of, long, you can go cross country. You could go from the East Coast to the West Coast on the Amtrak train.
Right.
There are ways to travel that do not necessarily include getting on a plane, but you're limiting yourself. But if you determine that that's not for you, you can at least say that you tried it and it's not for you. And then you can look at other options so that you can still be, an avid traveler.
And I would rather fly than drive, to be honest with you, because some of these crazy people on these roads, I'm like, what the heck? I mean,
Exactly.
something that you see and so on, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, driving. I feel like sometimes my heart is in my mouth just driving down the road. But on the plane, I can pretty much feel rather comfortable. So,
Right.
And I think that's the thing. People have to experience it to understand exactly what we're speaking of. But try to stop letting these things stand in your way. Talk with people who tend to do this frequently, like people who helped people with no longer being afraid of the water and drowning. No, and I'm not making fun of that at all. I'm just saying that's the whole point with group travel. When you align with those people, and now if you're afraid of flying, now you're with people who understand that and can help you pass that, and it's not left all on you. But I just think that these are things that you got to really stop and say, okay, what am I doing to stand in my own way? What am I doing to prevent myself from really enjoying the life that I want to enjoy instead of standing back and watching everyone else do it?
And one of the tricks about flying, if you really believe that you have this fear of flying, one of the tricks about flying is to take an overnight flight. Generally, you're asleep throughout the course of the flight. You can, have a little something to help you relax a little bit, put the little shields over your eyes and literally sleep through the night on the plane.
Right.
And you wake up in the morning, you're landing, and you didn't even know what happened those 8 hours. Right. So that's, there are ways around getting around that fear. You just kind of have to talk to your travel advisor about those options.
I would tell you my favorite one is give me a glass of wine.
There you go. Or two.
If you get on that plane, have a glass of wine, have a drink. That will help calm you down. Right. A glass of wine.
Oh, okay.
A drink.
But you also got to make sure if you're doing that you're drinking water as well, because
right.
You tend to dehydrate when you're on a plane.
Right.
So make sure whatever you're drinking, you have a glass of water with it as well. So these are just some helpful tips. This ain't got nothing to do with why travel. We're just trying.
Right. And that's not encouraging anyone to be on there and drink like crazy, because then if something were to happen, you got to be able to make it to that exit.
Right.
Okay. So again, I think another great episode. Again, I hope that we were able to really share some helpful information regarding why travel, and better yet, why become a travel business owner, why come join us. We are having a great time. There's a lot that we are learning and able to share with our clients and other business partners and so on. So, if you're multiple streams of income, if that's of interest to you, especially what's going on nowadays, and you know that you've got to get some other plans in place because things are, really evolving to a sense that you have got to have plan A, B, C, D, E, and F all down to Z. Then come chat with us. We got the Power of 100 going, and we're very interested in connecting with others who have an interest in becoming travel business owners. And we're here to help train, coach, and guide you along the way. Okay, so Angela, let's do our quotes.
All right. My first quote is, "The gladdest moment in human life, methinks, is a departure into unknown lands." That is Sir Richard Burton. The second one is, "Travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world." Gustav Flaubert.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so mine is, "Wherever you go, go with all your heart." And that's Confucius. And I'm going to drill this one into you all until y'all are able to recite it yourselves, okay? So yes, you have heard this. You're going to hear it repeatedly because every segment we do, I'm like, this still applies. So live a fearless life. Become your own trailblazer. Pursue your dreams wholeheartedly. And of course, that's by me.
Infamous
Michelle Proctor. Okay, everyone. We hope that this segment was helpful and that you are now questioning yourself as far as why travel, and better yet, that you're questioning yourself as to why you have not contacted us to become a travel business owner. Okay, so reach out to me, Angela, Lynette, if you whoever you're connected with, and we'll be happy to help you get started and learn and get any information you need to have to determine that you're ready to kick off a business of your own. Okay. Good night, everyone. See you next week.
Bye. Thanks, Michelle.
Bye.